Hi, I'm Chef Bruce Hill. I created the Chef's Press in my restaurants to allow food to cook faster and more evenly. The Chef's Press is a vented and weight adjustable cooking press. It allows you to cook faster and more evenly. Let's cook some recipes. I'll show you exactly how it works. So, my first recipe I'm going to do today, we're just going to make a really simple grilled cheese sandwich, and we're just going to butter it nicely. One of the things about the Chef's Press is that you want to make sure everything is buttered really evenly. And at this point, we're just going to assemble our sandwich. So I've got a little bit of Gruyere cheese here, and we're going to use a little bit of Gouda as well. Put our sandwich together, and we're going to place it on our grill. And then we're going to place one and then a second press on here. We're going to let this go for a minute. So a minute has passed. We're going to give this guy a flip. You can see with the Chef's Press, you get a beautiful even browning. We'll go back on with the presses and we'll set our timer for yet another minute. You're going to find with the Chef's Press that your food items cook 20 to 30% faster. So it is important to keep checking as you're cooking. All right, so our sandwich is now cooked on the other side. We'll flip it over, take a look how perfectly brown it is. I'm going to cook some asparagus now. And what we've got is some beautiful jumbo asparagus. We're just going to spray them lightly with olive oil. I'm going to do a little salt and pepper on here. And then we're going to place them on the grill. I've got my grill preheated to about 450 degrees, so it's quite hot. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 presses on. 2 presses on the thick end, and then a third press is going to kind of carry down to the thin end. And what that's going to do is it's going to cook the whole asparagus spear very evenly. I'll put presses on the other ones here. And then we'll check them after a minute. All right, so we've got one side done. We're going to check these guys. Actually, I'm going to season them on the other side before we flip them. Just a little bit more salt and pepper and olive oil. Just give them a nice turn. And then we'll put the presses back on the asparagus. All right, so I got some beautifully cooked asparagus here. You can see that we've got perfect even browning on the asparagus. The tips are not overcooked. We've got an 8-ounce chuck patty here. I'm going to season this with just a little bit of salt and pepper. We're going to drop just a little bit of olive oil in our pan here, just to get it started. And as you can see, I've preheated my pan. It's quite hot. The burger's going to go in, and we're going to place 2 presses on top. You'll see that when the press goes on, you make a little bit more noise. It means you're making better contact with the cooking surface, and the burger's going to cook a little bit more rapidly. I'm going to let this go for about a minute without touching it. All right, so I got a beautiful sear on this side. You can see that the Chef's Press is really easy to pick up with your tongs. We'll flip our burger over, and look at that color on there. Just a perfectly even browning. You know, the Chef's Press can be used in the skillet, on a griddle. It can be used in a char grill. Any of these surfaces are really, really nice for the Chef's Press. We've got our burger now that's finished. We take our presses off, and we're just going to check our burger for doneness. I like a nice medium rare, so that's looking perfect right there. You know, one of the interesting things about cooking a burger with the Chef's Press is that as the burger's cooking, the Chef's Press is compacting the meat, so it's holding onto the juices. When the press is removed, the burger springs up a little bit and really holds onto its juices. You can see the burger's resting here, but no juices are escaping from the meat. Do the burger. So there you have it. So for my last dish, I'm going to cook you something that I love to make at home. You know, chicken breast is such a common item, but if you look at the chicken itself, it really presents a problem. The chicken breast is quite thin on one end and thicker on the other. The Chef's Press is a great way to solve that problem because we'll put the presses on this end of the chicken and we'll see you get a perfectly even doneness when it's done. So we're just going to season this guy with a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to do a little bit of olive oil in the pan. We're going to go skin side down first. And we're going to place 2 presses on the thick end of the chicken. All right, so we've got a nice browning on one side. We're going to flip it back over. Place the presses back on top, and we're going to go 1 more minute on this side. Okay, so I've got a nice browning on the other side. We're going back to the skin side. I'm going to place my presses, as you can see, on the thick end, and we're going in the oven. All right, so our chicken breast is done, and you can see by its appearance that it's just perfectly seared, and it's going to be really juicy inside. The chef's press has allowed me to cook this for less time, therefore I've got a beautiful juicy interior. And you can see the juice just coming out of that chicken, just perfectly juicy. When you're finished, your chef's press can go right into the dishwasher. They're durable and they stack easily for storage. At the restaurants, we use the chef's press every single night. We use them for hamburgers, chicken, asparagus, all the dishes that you've seen today. They really are a secret of many chefs' kitchens, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do.